Ali says Ozark was bumping Nas in his first episode. Did you see that?
I haven't seen the Ozarks yet. I'm gonna pull it up,
Okay,
though.
well this is the scene,
What were
and
they playing?
they were playing New York State of Mind. So here it is. One of the
No,
characters, and I haven't been updated on Ozark. I'm still like in season one. But one of the characters, the young lady on there, she's bumping New York State of Mind in her
hold
earpods.
on. The blonde,
Yeah,
crazy blonde. Yeah,
yeah. And
she's the
so she runs into Killer Mike, and she's like, "Yo, I'm a fan of your work, yada yada." And he's like, "Appreciate that." And he's like, "So what you listening to?" And she was like, some old stuff or whatever. And then he gets her earpod, and I forgot what lines from New York State of Mind, but they start deciphering some of the stuff that we've talked about when it comes to Illmatic and Nas's perspective. They were talking about how I don't want to paraphrase it because the words they used were so great, but basically they were talking about the fact that it's sad yet compelling at the same time that he
yes.
had to that someone at 20 years old had to live through these things and actually speak to these things. It's kind of crying out. It's therapeutic, but it's genius. It's beautiful, but
I
ugly,
told you,
if that
man.
makes any sense. So,
No,
and
it is. It's
anyway,
all
she
those things.
asked Killer Mike, what did she
Mm,
ask him? She asked him, do you think that he would take back these experiences?
never.
Um, he would. Well, how did she say it? Basically, she asked him, would he trade not having to go through this for having this song? And Killer Mike was like, well, if you have to ask,
Right. That's why the
you
answer is
know,
no.
I don't know.
That's why the answer is no. No, that's I tell you, that's what I mean about the team. The themes are timeless. The themes on there are timeless, and you can dissect them forever. And and nobody ever made the dreary sound so beautiful in hip hop. It's the first time that all the drug dealing and the killing and the murdering and all the somber things that you go through every day, the alcoholism, the having to ride the train because you don't have your own, like it made all of those things beautiful in a way, even though it was still dreary.
He was
It's
very gifted at a very early age and was able to articulate things that a lot of people were going through that they couldn't articulate it in those ways. And
Think
I think
about what
that's
he's
one of
saying. He
the that
prophesies. He prophesies his own future. Think about how the second verse starts off. Be having dreams that I'm a gangster, drinking Moet's, holding texts, making sure the cash came correct. Then I step. Investments in stocks.
yeah, he was already there though.
He
Like,
was already there. That's the 17-year-old that's thinking about becoming Nas Escobar on It Was Written, but also the stock investor that you're seeing in his 40s and 50s. It's like, that's crazy. The 17-year-old was thinking about that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that when you think about Illmatic and that perspective, it was so important for Illmatic to be produced as well as it was produced. You know,
Had to be. It needed the
it
backdrop.
needed that because
The
you could
backdrop.
hear that message so much clearer with such great production. And that's why, I respect people who say it was written and all that, but the thing is, it was written is just not put together as well as Illmatic when we talk about the individual songs. Um, I
The
think
themes
that
just aren't as timeless.
no,
It's not that. The themes just aren't as
the
timeless.
songs just aren't better. I mean, it's just the bottom line. I hate to sound like Charles Barkley when he's like, that team's just better. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to break it down. The songs on Illmatic are just better than the songs on It Was Written. Now, he might be a better rapper on It Was Written, bar
I'll
for
say
bar, but the
there
songs are just better on Illmatic.
they are, but there are moments where what he's doing rap wise makes some of the songs comparable. I gave you power, take it in blood, silent murder, shootouts, the setup. There are moments on there where it's like, well, that's not Illmatic, but it's definitely just as good, and it's definitely going to be sufficient enough to the next album. Like he definitely fed you.
The
Like you
way
got fed. You got fed, even if you didn't definitely like the seasoning on the plate all the way. Like you got fed.
The
You got
way
fed.
that I would describe Illmatic is to say that it is the most easy listening, most lyrical, easily listening hip hop album ever. And that's because of the production and him, as far as like how they put these songs together. It's very easy to listen to at any stage. You don't have to be a certain type of hip hop fan to listen to The World Is Yours. You know what I mean?
You don't.
You could
That's why
anybody at any point could listen to The World Is Yours. Life's a bitch.
New York State of, like, you don't have to be from New York to understand New York State of mind. That was so he
That's
got
what
me.
Killer Mike said in that clip too. He was talking about New York.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. He's providing images on New York State of mind that are very similar to the projects right across the street where my family is from on West Boulevard in Charlotte. Like there used to be a project called Little Rock, and Little Rock used to have breezeway hallways, and they were brick buildings and steps. So when he's talking certain things, it's like, nah, that's the hood right across the street, nigga. That's Boulevard Homes. That's Little Rock. Like that's West Boulevard. It's like I know you in Queensbridge, but we got these hoods down here on West Boulevard, Boulevard Homes, Little Rock, Ponderosa, Wilmore, and it sounds like the same shit this nigga talking about. So it's like, oh no, it's New York State of mind, but we doing the same hood shit in Charlotte. It's the same shit going on. Your dudes is hustling too. My dudes is hustling too. Like when Illmatic came out, like within like 18 months, it's like 3 or 4 of me and my homies' best friends that all got locked up for either like trafficking, car theft. You feel what I'm saying? So It's like when he's speaking to some things, and even when he's speaking to the local hustlers in the area, like my homie stole one of the biggest dope boys in the area Jeep one day and pulled it up on my family's lane. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like when he's speaking to the street shit going on and the street hustling shit, it's like no, it was relating because it was like seeing the shit live. You know what I'm saying? And it's like how is this nigga in New York? But he knows what's going on in North Carolina. And then I moved back to Atlanta, and my brothers that was raised in Atlanta is like, yo, we was riding around on the east side playing Illmatic. And it's like, oh, that shit timeless everywhere in every hood.
The message. Jay Short says, do you think the Illmatic casts too large of a shadow on Nas's legacy?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's what's going to happen when you make the best rap album ever.
I think it's necessary, but
what comes with it.
I think now though, and I may be speaking, being prisoner of the moment. I think he's overcome that finally.
Can I say, hold on? So you never overcome making something like that because it immediately strikes a chord with people. It's just like this. Well, that's like asking Michael Jackson, did he ever get over Thriller? Or Prince, if he ever got over Purple Rain? Now, in the case of Michael Jackson, I don't think he ever made anything better than Thriller. In Prince's case, he made something better than Purple Rain. And that's when you realize that Purple Rain was never going anywhere because Sign of the Times is a better piece of work than Purple Rain. But because of what Purple Rain did, it is. It's just a better piece of work. He's a better musician. He's a better songwriter. It's more timeless themes on there. It is.
It's a monster of an album. I got the vinyl right here. I got the deluxe.
Like, if we're talking all time, I don't think you're going to have to pick Stevie's best album and we're going to have to argue.
Let me get the LP super chat because I want to get into this. He said Nas was talking about investments in stock since his first album. He was thinking bigger than Jay and Big, but the street kid, from a street kid's perspective, they spoke as if they had it already. Did so, it hit more, I guess. All right, well,
No, it struck you more. I get what he's saying. He's talking about
the chords. It's more relatable in that sense.
He's talking about the chords that he's striking because, like, he's a hood dude, but he's talking about investments in stocks on his first record that you hear him on. You know what I mean?
Sign of the Times, yes. Sign of the Times is an incredible album, and I think it's. Now you know what? I'm gonna quote Charlemagne here. It's his most complete body of work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He did everything on there, and you know what? And I think if we want to factor in the fact that Wendy and Debbie weren't involved. Lisa, I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Weren't involved. I guess you could really say that definitively. He tried a lot of new things on Strange Relationships. I mean, the range of it's crazy. Adore, Sound of the Times itself. Um, If I Were Your Girlfriend.
So I think what really
Incredible
happened with
album.
that album, Mike, you know what I hear on that album? And here's why I do. I mean, for me personally, I think it's the best album beginning in that I've ever heard because I can't think of one album succinctly better than it. And I'll tell
The
you why
Ballad
I
of
think that.
Dorothy Parker, yes.
Yes, Forever in My Life, Housequake, Sign of the Times.
Incredible album.
Sign of the Times is one of the most important records ever written. This is him talking about the AIDS epidemic and crack cocaine and gang issues in America in 1987.
Yeah, it's a great album.
It's a great album.
I have nothing else to say about that. Now, the thing is, if we want to talk about from a technical aspect, and we're going to get into this because we're going to talk about that Kanye thing.
Engineering could have been better on Sign of the Times, but that's what you're talking about. Engineering could have been better.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I was waiting for a remastered version of that album for a very long time. We finally got it maybe like, a year and a half or so ago.
Yeah.
But it was very low because I would play Purple Rain, which was booming, especially on Computer Blue and the song Purple Rain itself. And then you would hear something on Sign of the Times and it was a lot weaker. So yeah, the engineering could have been better. But if we want to talk about a technical aspect from writing, producing, arranging, execution, that's a tough album to beat. To beat.
All jokes aside,
and I'm a Michael Jackson guy.
If we're talking songwriting, as far as songwriting goes, it's the best songwriting album ever, and you're gonna because nobody's expressing that range, songwriting wise, that he's expressing on that album. But here's what I will tell you, and this is why the album is so special to me. Well, I hear Stevie Wonder and James Brown on that album, and actually too, I can hear the part of him that's not competing with Michael Jackson anymore.
Exactly. I was gonna say that, and I think that's important.
The part of him that's out of competition. He's like, you want to know it? He's Mike. I'm Prince. We've got this established. I'm just gonna go do Prince shit from now on.
Because as great as Purple Rain is, I feel like Purple Rain is a direct competition to Thriller.
No, I mean, that is a competitive response to Thriller. Anybody that thinks that Purple Rain
track for track. You got Billie Jean lined up right with Dove's Cry. You got I Would Die For You lined up with Human Nature.
No, he's really thinking to himself, I think I'm better at this guy than everything except for dancing, and I'm going to prove it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let the music speak. I know that I can play the instruments better. Singing wise, we can have a competition, but I know I'm the better songwriter. So if I put this together the right way, I'm going to show people that I'm just as good as him, if not better. And once he had acquired his wealth and his fame, independent of that, and he became the type of icon that rivaled him, I think he let that go. And I think that's why he didn't do the Bad thing too, because you got to think Bad's coming out around the time while he's doing Sign of the Times.
Yeah,
and they're probably in a place where he's like, I'm not trying to compete no more. I made Purple Rain. Everybody,
I personally think that he took that meeting so he could listen to what they had going on. Honestly.
Oh, he's competitive still, yeah. But what I'm saying is that he probably felt this way too. Oh, they don't got shit on me right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Bad is not fucking Times at all. That's not
at all.
Not even the same stratosphere as the album.
Mad Max says, "I'm sorry, it was written as better. I get old heads attached. I get the old heads attachment." But when I heard it was written, I said, wow, son talking like a Don. Well, you know what? It's funny because I'm more connected to it was written than I am Illmatic as far as when it came out. Like, I think it was written came out more in my primitive years where I had to go back and listen to Illmatic. And even going back listening to Illmatic's just a better album. I mean, I don't have any attachment to Illmatic on some nostalgia shit like that. My attachment would actually be more so it was written.
Well,
to be perfectly honest.
If you look at our age bracket, Mike, when Illmatic came out, I was 13 and you were 12. So when it was written came out, I was 15, you were 14. So that probably, our ears had curved by then a little bit because it happens that fast. Between 12 to 15, it curves and it happens fast. But I'm going to submit this to you the way I submit it to everybody else. It's like Well, when you say that, well, show me the record that's actually better than The World Is Yours, and Life's a Bitch,
Yeah.
in New York State of Mind, and Memory Lane, and One Love. It ain't hard to tell. Name 5 records on It Was Written better than that, and I'll give it to you, except for you can't do that. You can show me mic performances that are better. You can't show me beats that are better. You can't show me songs that are better. You can't show me timeless themes that are better.
Where's the Life's a Bitch moment on It Was Written?
Huh?
Where's the Life's a Bitch moment on It Was Written?
There's not a moment like that on
It's
It
not.
Was Written.
That's an X Factor record.
I think the live nigga rap is the closest thing to it. But if we compare live nigga rap to Life's a Bitch, Mike, it's a wash.
And I love live nigga rap too.
And I love me
I
some
hate to
live
say it
nigga
like
rap.
that.
How about, here's how I feel about Life's a Bitch. Life's a Bitch, next to Shook One's Part 2, might be the best street record ever, Mike. Ever.
Damn, that's high praise. Now I disagree.
It's not a single. Think about it. It's not a single. What rap song that's not a single resonates the way Life's a Bitch does in the industry? Keep in mind, the nigga that's doing the guest verse got a whole deal and contract off of one verse.
I mean, his legacy is, and AZ's a legend.
And isn't Life's a Bitch attached to Nas's legacy? This is not a single. This is a street record.
I mean, honestly, everything on
Shit like that
Illmatic,
when it was written.
everything on Illmatic was a single to a certain degree, except for One Time for Your Mind.
No, you could even do One Time for Your Mind as a single. That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't release live nigga rap as a single.
Now, I heard somebody in the chat say that Illmatic is hip hop's Thriller, and I think that's a pretty decent comparison because when you talk about Thriller being on the main stage and being the biggest album ever, and for me, Thriller's the best album I've heard in the end.
It's not better than Purple Rain or Sign of the Times, but it's okay.
But you're a Prince fan. I get that. And those albums, that's fine. Even as a Michael fan, I would welcome that debate because they are definitely
Can I ask you something?
incredible
Hold
albums.
on. Do you think Thriller is honestly a better piece of work than Sign of the Times? If you feel that way, I'm okay with it. I'm just asking because I've never asked you. Because I know we always have the Thriller Purple Rain conversation.
I think Sign of the Times, it's kind of like that life after death thing where it does so many things.
The performance.
Like if we're talking about, it's kind of really like a life after death versus an Illmatic type of thing.
Okay. No, I'm with you.
And see, the big songs on Thriller, which is pretty much everything, it's just so massive, man. Like, I always talk about Thriller in phases, right? You have the songwriting and production. You have the music side of it. Then you got the visual side of it. Then you got stuff like the choreography that's identified with so many different pieces on that album. Then you got the wardrobe that is identifiable with that album.
People still are making rappers. Hold on, people are still making Michael Jackson, Thriller, Zipper references in the 2020s. Yes, they are.
I mean, you got the Billie Jean outfit, then you got the Motown 25 thing, right? Then you got the Thriller outfit, then you got the Beat It outfit, then you got the Beat It choreography, then you got the Thriller choreography, then you got the Billie Jean routine, then you got the actual music itself, then you got the videos. It's crazy. It's a whole production.
Right. So can we pause for a second? About all those things that you said is why I always thought Purple Rain and Sign of the Times were better. I was like, because if you just keep it to the music.
Yeah. I get that.
But hold on. But everything that happened with Thriller is more impactful to the culture of music than the things that happened with Purple Rain. Even as big as Purple Rain was.
The thing is, you need the music to be strong, to be able to do all the things that Michael was able to do. So obviously that's the foundation of it. But yes, I think Thriller is more about a lot of the other things outside of the music. And that's why I find it really interesting that Stevie Wonder says that, he thinks Prince was a better artist than Michael. But Stevie couldn't see all those things that went on. Right?
Hold on. Back up. Stevie said what?
Stevie said he thought Prince was better than Michael.
Well,
but again,
Stevie's
just said, but I only say that because, like you said, you're going straight to the music. Stevie's only hearing the music. He doesn't see all of these things that Michael's doing on top of the music.
That's what I was about to say. Stevie can't see, Mike.
Exactly.
And I'm a Prince fan, and I'm going to tell you, Stevie can't see, but Stevie can hear. Okay, so Stevie saying Prince is better than Mike, and Stevie feeding some of Stevie's ego too, because you know how Prince was pitched to labels when the bidding war was on, right?
Yeah.
He's the next Stevie Wonder. He plays
Right.
all the instruments and can sing like Stevie.
Of course.
Prince got his record deal specifically, and people need to understand this about how great Stevie Wonder was. Record labels were literally canvassing this nation looking for the next Stevie Wonder. Prince was the guy that they found most suitable.
Well, that's
correct.
It's incredible.
That is a fact. That is a record label history fact. These motherfuckers were scouring this nation looking for the next great, multi-talented, multifaceted, black guy that could take music to the next level. They found Prince. Okay? That's how that happened. And so even when Stevie is saying that, Stevie know who he is. He know that's going on. And so there's some stock in his legacy. There's some stock in his legacy and taking stock in Prince's legacy, because that is literally his successor.
Yep.
Musically, that's his successor. The guy that sings, songwrites, and plays the instruments at an extremely high level. That's his successor.
Yeah.
Not Michael Jackson. No. James Brown and Michael Jackson have more of a direct succession plan.
Exactly. And James Brown connected to Michael in that way. James Brown said Michael was the best. Yeah.
Because it's more attached to his legacy.
Exactly. Jay Short says, it was written, made me realize I couldn't be a rapper.
It was written to set the bar. Okay, so
Mad Max says the message. Let me get some of these super chats real quick. Mad Max says the message got more quotables than all of them joints you mentioned. I Gave You Power is more genius than anything on Illmatic. And Prince can't see Mike. Andre Shashir. Shout out to Andre Shashir in the building. He said, I personally like Off the Wall better than Thriller.
Me too.
Off the Wall is a feel, Off the Wall feels better than Thriller.
Love me some Off the Wall.
And I'm never going to debate which is the better between the two because I think it's all about how you feel on that. I think on a technical level, though, and again, we have these technical conversations, I think Thriller's a step up. And I've always said it like this. I think if you match up these two albums and you put the strongest track all the way down to the weakest track, the last 3 songs on your list are going to come from Off the Wall. And that's just where we're at. There's nothing... Listen, Girlfriend doesn't beat anything on Thriller. Burn This Disco Out doesn't beat anything on Thriller. And as much as I love the Falling in Love, it doesn't beat anything on Thriller. And I love that record.
So I would agree with you. So much like, hold on, let's go to the It Was Written thing. First of all, I feel a certain type of way about I Gave You Power. I think it's the most lyrical record ever created. And I think that and Lyrics of Fury or Follow the Leader in the Conversation, the most lyrical song ever. So as far as what he's doing lyrically on I Gave You Power, no, there's nothing like that on Illmatic. But there is nothing that makes you gravitate to I Gave You Power the way you gravitate towards those records on Illmatic. Don't tell me as a Nas fan that when you're thinking of like getting in your car and riding that you're playing I Gave You Power over New York State of Mind or Life's a Bitch or The World Is Yours or Memory Lane or One Love or It Ain't Hard to Tell, because you're not, in spite of the performance. I think his second verse on I Gave You Power might be the best verse ever, if not for his verse on Verbal Intercourse. That hook is one of the most underrated hooks of all time. That might be DJ Premier's most underrated beat ever. And still, with all of those things being said, Mike, if you were to put I Gave You Power on Illmatic, it would be like the 6th or 7th best song. It would be like the 6th or 7th best song on Illmatic.
What up to 007 in the building, man? He said, who matches up best against Nas from the Wu-Tang?
As far as what is concerned?
Off the top of my head, I would say Ghost. Because we're talking storytelling, we're talking catalog, we're talking versatility. I'm definitely going to say Ghost off the top of my head. Mad Max says...
Versatility is meth. But I get what you're saying.
He said, all right, Mad Max says, I'm not with the bad album. I'm not mad at the bad album being better than Thriller. Off the Wall, that album had so many great hits.